For sure. All right. My name's Rhonda right now, and I'm alcoholic. Um, I identify as an alcoholic because I've read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and in that book, it talks about addiction is a disease, and I got it. Right. My sobriety date is 9/5 of '02, so I've been sober for 23 years. Now, I'm the kind of alcoholic that talks about what it was like before we got sober. And I know that after we put together a little bit of time, we don't want to get up in front of people and share that drunk-a-log or that drug-a-log. But I think when we leave out what it was like, we rob the newcomer of the ability to relate. And I think we have to talk about what it was like because it's our responsibility to reach them, not their responsibility to reach us. So we have to talk in a way that they can identify with us, right? So I talk about what it was like. And long before I took a drink or a drug, I was suffering from what the big book calls a spiritual malady. And I don't know what a spiritual malady is when I come into these rooms. When people talk like that, I don't know what they're talking about. We don't talk like that where I come from, right? But I know what it feels like. See, it's this thing that goes on inside of us, right? And it's that thing that says that I'm not okay, that there's something wrong with me, right? It says that I don't fit in. I'm not the kind of person somebody can love. It's that thing. And I had that spiritual sickness long before I ever got loaded, right? And so at 15 years old, I was on the street. I was full of anger, fear, resentment, and I didn't have the coping skills to deal with that. And I did like a lot of us do when we got nowhere to go, right? I went to this person's house or that person's house. I did the little couch surfing thing. Eventually, I found myself sleeping on the side of people's houses or crashing out in the back of somebody's pickup truck. And I was constantly looking for an outside solution to my inside problem. But see, it just never worked. Like I couldn't find anything outside of me to make me feel okay inside of me. And I get this brilliant idea one day that if I just find the right guy, I'll be all right. So I start chasing the guys. And I chase the guys to the bars. And the problem with the bars is they close. And I ain't done yet, you know? So I chase them from bars to pool halls because pool halls stay open all night. And the people in the pool halls, they let me hang out with them. And I thought that meant they liked me, because I needed so desperately to fit in. I wanted to feel like I was a part of something. I wanted to feel like I mattered to somebody. And they let me hang out with them, and I thought that meant they liked me, so I became absolutely willing to do anything that they were doing to continue to hang out. And they got loaded. So I got loaded. And when I got loaded, everything changed. You know that thing that I was looking for as a child, that need to be okay? Well, when I got loaded, I thought I was okay, right? So this is how you do it. I finally know how to be okay. I have to get loaded and stay loaded. And I set off on that course. Almost 10 years later, I'm really good at getting high, right? I mean, I had all the connections and I had all the hookups and I finally got to that place where you think you're the shit. I got there, right? So I think I'm the shit and I'm at the top of my game. And I start hemorrhaging and I have to get air vac to the hospital because I lost so much blood. And I get to the hospital and the doctor in the emergency room tells me I'm 5.5 months pregnant and the baby's trying to abort. And I didn't know I was pregnant, right? So now this doctor in the emergency room is the first person in almost 10 years of my using that mentioned I might have a drug problem. He asked me if I was an addict. And I remember being completely offended by the fact that he would even say such a thing to me. Of course I'm not an addict, right? I only get loaded when I want to, not because I have to, right? An addict's gotta get loaded. I don't gotta. He said, all right, well, when was the last time you didn't wanna? Shoot, I got nothing. I couldn't think of a single time in almost 10 years that I didn't need to have a drink or a drug. And so now I'm in this emergency room and they're telling me if they can stop the bleeding that I'm going to have a baby. Well, I ain't trying to have a baby. And that means that guy that I was just hanging out with, now he's going to be my old man? Yeah, I ain't trying to have an old man. I ain't trying to do any of that, right? I'm just trying to stay loaded enough to be okay with myself. Anyways, ended up hospitalizing me for a month and a half. A month and a half later, I get out of the hospital and I got a family. I got an old man. I got a kid. And I go back to this dude's house, and I don't know about you guys, but I get in relationships that I don't care to be in. They're uncomfortable. They're sometimes abusive. And we stay in it anyway, right? We stay in these toxic relationships and we hold on to them with claw marks like we can't live without it, like we gotta freaking have it, and I'm miserable. But I'm in this relationship and I'm completely irresponsible. So I get pregnant again and then I get pregnant again and now I got 3 kids with some guy that I don't even like. And I got these 3 kids, right? And they're like flipping crying all the time and they like want me to feed them and stuff and I'm supposed to change their diapers and stuff and that dude, he wants to come home to a clean house and I'm supposed to cook him dinner and I'm supposed to care about him and I don't. Right? I just don't. And I'm trying to do enough stuff to stay okay with myself, right? But I can't get okay with myself anymore. It doesn't matter how much I do or what kind of drugs I do or what kind of drinking I do. It doesn't matter because I can't get okay anymore. So I'm angry. I'm angry at these kids because I'm stuck with their dad and it's all their fault. And I'm angry at him because now I got 3 damn kids and it's all his fault and it's everybody else's fault that I can't get okay. Right? It's everybody else's fault. Now, I couldn't have told you then what was going on, but what goes on right there, that's fear. Because these beautiful little babies, they just need a mama. And I can't show up for that. And this man loves me, and I can't show up for that. I am so emotionally disconnected that I can't even be a mother to my children. Right? But since I come from the street, you don't show fear, right? So I do what we do. I put on that tough girl front and I tell them I don't care and it don't matter. And I get up and I walk out of that 3 bedroom townhouse and I don't go back. So every town's got a south side, that place where people like us end up. And so I go down there to the south side of Phoenix and I build an 8 by 12 box out of pallets, right? In this empty lot that used to belong to my father before he died. And like I said, I go in this empty lot and I build a box and I'm starting to feel okay again. See, it doesn't matter that I don't have a change of clothes or any food or any money. It doesn't even matter that I just left 3 little babies for their daddy to take care of, you see. All that matters is I can get as high as I want whenever I want, and I don't have to care about anybody, and I don't have to let anybody care about me. So that means I'm not going to disappoint anyone again, you know? So I'm down there and I'm living in the lot, and the girls that work the streets, and over on the other side of the street, there's a rescue mission, right? And the guys from at that rescue mission and the girls from the street were all hanging out and kicking it, and life is okay, right? Life is okay. And then one day this car rolls up to the lot, and it's my kids' grandma, and she has all 3 of my kids, and she says their daddy went to jail and they're yours. And she left me those babies that day. So now I got 3 little kids and I'm living in a flipping box in South Phoenix. So I don't know about you guys, but there's 2 ways I learn how to deal with life, right? I either smoke enough dope to forget about it or I smoke enough dope to figure it out. And that's how I deal, right? That's how I deal. I know that when we come up in here, we think drugs and alcohol is the problem, but for me, it was the solution. It was the only thing I ever found prior to recovery that allowed me to live in my own skin. So I tapped into my solution and I figured it out. I traded the guy a couple lots over for some electricity and he let me run an extension cord out of his breaker box across one lot into the lot that I'm in. I trade somebody else for a refrigerator. We throw some hot dogs and water in there and the kids are cool. They think we're camping. Because see, your kids will let you drag them through anything. Because all they want to do is be where you are. And my kids are cool with because they're with their mommy and that's all that matters to them. And it doesn't cross my mind that my kids shouldn't be living this way because I'm selfish and I'm self-centered. And the only thing that crosses my mind is I didn't think I could be a mommy, but look at me go. I got this, right? Now I'm going to fast forward to the time I lived in that lot, but I want to let you know I lived in that lot for 8 years. Okay, I wasn't homeless for the weekend. I didn't have a bad month. My best thinking said that that was okay. And if it's okay, we don't do anything about changing it. You know how we lie to ourselves so we can drink and use the way we like to drink and use? How we tell ourselves it is what it is. I'm doing the best I can. The world doesn't treat me right. And then like a week turns into a month. And a month turns into a year. And 8 years later, I'm still there lying to myself and I don't even freaking know, man. I don't even know. Right? But anyway, somewhere in my addiction, I become really fond of trash. Like I like dumpsters and I like alleys. And I can't stand it when people throw their garbage away in them black bags because I can't see what's in it and I gotta freaking know. Like for reals, like I'm 23 years sober. I still can't drive by a bunch of black bags on the curb without pumping my brakes. I'm like, what's in it? Was that clothes? What's in that bag? So anyway, I really like trash. So one day I leave my kids with the prostitutes from the truck stop and I go down my little trash route and I turned down this alley and I couldn't believe it. Somebody had thrown away the only one thing in this world that can make my life better than what it was, a toilet. That's exactly what I needed. I couldn't believe somebody would throw away a perfectly good toilet, right? Who does that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm hurrying off to get my shopping cart and I'm trying to get back to it before somebody else gets it because you know everybody else wants it, right? And I rolled up in there and it was still there. I was like, hell yeah, score, right? So I load this toilet into my shopping cart with all my other fine collectibles. You know what I'm talking about, right? When you see a lady pushing the shopping cart down the road, it's always stacked up really high and things be hanging off the side of the cart and stuff. But for the grace of God, there go I. You see, that's me. That lady pushing the shopping cart down the road that we don't want to make eye contact with, that's me. That's where my addiction takes me. And let me tell you about me at that point. I weighed 80 pounds. I had 7 or 8 broken teeth in the front of my mouth. I had sores all over my body. I had bald spots all over my head where I tweaked on my head, and I hadn't showered in months. And the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about that. It tells me in the big book my addict's life becomes so normal that I can't differentiate the true from the false. Obviously, I can't differentiate the true from false if I think living with my kids in a box in a field is all right. Or if I think finding a toilet in an alley is a score. Obviously, I can't tell the difference anymore. You know? So anyway, I pushed this shopping cart up into the lot and the kids see the toilet and they're all like, yay! They're all super excited because now we got a toilet. And I take the toilet to the backside of the property. And on the backside of the property, there's this storm sewer drain thing. And we put the toilet on top of it. We hooked up the water illegally and we stuck a hose in the back of the toilet and it flushed. I was like, hell yeah, right? So I built a box around the toilet. Now I got the box that we're sleeping in. I got the box with the toilet. And in my delusion, I'm living the dream. I mean, how powerful is this disease when living like that becomes okay? Right? When living like that is okay. So anyway, some time passes though, and I start getting sick, like bad sick, like I don't have enough energy to stand up on my own anymore, and it doesn't matter. The drugs and alcohol aren't working anymore, right? I'm not okay again, you know? And it doesn't matter how much I do or how I mix it up, I just can't get okay. And remember how attractive I said I was, all 80 sucked up pounds of me? Well, I also had this thing growing out the side of my neck. Looked like a little head sitting on my shoulder. And the girls from the street or the guys from the mission would come over and they'd be like, dude, what is that? And they're pointing at this stuff on my neck. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Just give me a pipe. I just need to get loaded. I don't know. And they'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we don't want any more. Don't, you can have it. See, nobody wants to touch anything I've touched. That's how scary I look. And then somebody I'd known since I was a child comes over and he says, man, Rhonda, honey, you're freaking dying. You need to go to the hospital. And I manipulate the situation because we get really good at manipulation while we're out there getting loaded, don't we? And I play the mommy card and I tell him I can't. I got kids to take care of. And he goes, honey, you know, you don't get it. You're dying. You need to go to the hospital. And I said, I can't. I got kids to take care of. Who's going to take care of these kids if I don't? There's nobody else. There's nobody but me. He says, check it out. I'll bail their daddy out of jail and he can take them if you'll go to the hospital for me. I'm like, Daddy, come get these kids. Go get them. I'll do whatever you want. So he bails Daddy out of jail. Daddy takes the kids. I go to the hospital and they diagnose me with lymphoma cancer. I have a malignant tumor in my neck. I have cancerous cells clustered under my left arm, the right side of my groin, and it metastasized on the diaphragm surrounding my heart and lungs because I had let it spread through my body. And I was devastated. You know, it broke my heart and took my breath away. And I'd love to be able to tell you it broke my heart because my kids weren't going to have a mommy, or because there's so many wonderful things in life that I'm not going to get a chance to do now. But see, that's not it. What broke my heart is they told me I'm going to die up in this hospital. That means I'm never going to get loaded again. You see, I can't do that. I can't stay here, right? They just gave me some really effed up news, so I need to get loaded, right? I need to get to my solution. I can't do this, you know? Now, I thought about my kids later, but if you suffer from the disease of addiction, drugs and alcohol come first. And I bet if you look into your own experience, you see those times where you got loaded and you didn't wanna. There was times where there was something important that you wanted to do, like it freaking mattered, man. And we couldn't show up for it. Like we couldn't show up for it, right? I know there's things for me like Christmas. Christmas is going to be different this year. I promise it'll be different this year. We're going to spend the night together and I'm going to have presents and I'm not going to screw it up this year. I promise I won't screw it up this year. And I'd show up at New Year's with an excuse. Or things like my little girl's birthday. See, her grandma gives her a birthday party because her mama's not capable. And nobody's allowed to cut the cake till mommy shows up. My little girl falls asleep beside her birthday cake because her mommy never shows up. Her mommy never shows up. So that's just some of the stuff that my guilt and shame was rooted in when I got here. But I want to let you know I don't walk with guilt and shame anymore. I don't have to. And neither do you. And the solution to that is in the book. Right? So anyway, I'm in the hospital. I reacted really well to chemotherapy. They told me they could install a catheter in my chest and let me go home and spend some time with my family before I passed. And I didn't tell them I lived in a box because I didn't think they'd let me go home. So we made a deal. The deal is I'm going to take these chemos by mouth every day, 33 flipping pills a day, and I'm going to come back every Monday and they're going to pump me full of 6 hours worth of chemotherapy and we're going to do this for as long as we can do this. And that was the deal. And I get back and my kids' hearts are breaking because their mommy's dying and they don't have the coping skills to deal with that. And my kids' dad, who's in a different relationship than me, this man really loves me. And he doesn't know what he's going to do or how he's going to take care of these kids. And everybody's sad and everybody's angry and we're all freaking tripping, right? We're tripping because we don't know how to deal with it. So like I need to get to my solution, but I can't get to it because they're like stuck to me. Like they won't let me out of their sight, not even for a minute because they're afraid that I'm going to die and they'll never see me again. So they don't want to let go. Right? And I can't freaking stand it. So they got to go because everything that gets between me and getting loaded goes away. So I manipulated their daddy. I told him I don't want my kids to watch me die, so you need to take them and you need to leave. And I make my family go away. All they want to do is spend as much time with mommy as they can before mommy dies, but I can't give them that. I can't do it. So I push my family away. And for a little while, I was really good about making it to chemotherapy for a little while. But if you're an addict like me, only one thing makes you feel better: getting loaded. So I started mixing drugs with chemotherapy. I wasn't doing it to get high or anything at this point. I was doing it because the drugs kept me from getting sick. Or at least that's the lie that I was telling myself, right? The problem with this thinking is I'd leave the hospital after 6 hours worth of chemotherapy and I start doing drugs and I do drugs all week long while I'm taking these chemos by mouth. And I left there last Monday. I show up next Monday. They can't get me stable enough to give me chemotherapy. They asked me if I'll come back tomorrow and I was going to go back tomorrow. But on my way there, I saw this really cool trash pile and I spent 6 hours in the garbage and never make it to chemotherapy. And then pretty soon chemotherapy got in the way of me getting loaded. So I quit going to that too, man. But I still had this catheter hanging out of my chest, this main artery heart valve that's supposed to be flushed and access on a regular basis. And I don't go back for 4 years. But see, I wasn't supposed to live for 4 years. At the time, I was supposed to die any day, so it didn't matter. So now I'm back in the box. I pushed my family away. And since I looked so attractive, all 80 sucked up pounds of me got a new boyfriend. And he moved out of his house into the box with me. Because he's not sick either, huh? Because we know how to pick them, don't we? Yeah, so he moves out of his house into the box with me. And you know how it is when it's all brand new, right? We're all hooking up and hanging out. And it's all really cool, you know what I'm saying? So I get pregnant again. And then I get pregnant again. And then I got 2 kids with this guy. And he's a lot like the first guy. So he goes on to jail too, but he goes on to DOC and he don't get back out. So now I'm back in the box. I got 2 little kids, but I've done this before and I know how to do it. Plus, I got a catheter hanging out of my chest, and that proves that I'm a victim. And we know how to play the victim, don't we? Yeah, we do. So I get somebody to give me a travel trailer, and I pull this travel trailer up into the lot. And me and the kids move out of the box into the travel trailer, and I rented out the box because it was a really nice box. Because I'm a tweaker. You don't live somewhere for a while without fixing it. You know what I'm saying? So when I moved out of that box, it had blue carpeting, a piece of white sectional mirror wall, French door, and an AC unit. I had the baddest box on the block. And I rented the box out to that dude. Me and the kids move in the travel trailer, and the sheriff department swoops in and raids the box. They got a full-on drug task force, ninjas with hoods marching in two by two, breaking off into pairs, helicopter, got it all lit up like a football field, street shut down for a box in a field. Now, since the property is technically mine, everything on the property is technically mine, including the meth lab that they found in the box. There's no other way to say that, sorry. But blah, 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 17 felony counts, all this stuff where that goes with drug raids, plus 2 counts of child abuse for having my children living at a meth lab. So Child Protective Services takes my children and I go to jail. And I don't know if you guys have ever gone to jail before, but I bet if you did, you made the same decision I made. I'm going to quit now. This is the last time I'm going to end up in here, right? Right? And I meant that. Because, see, I didn't know anything about this program, that book, these rooms. I didn't know nothing about none of that. And I thought that now that I made a decision to stop, I just would. Right? So I'm in jail for quite a while. Eventually, I work a deal with pretrial services and bond, and I get out pending sentence. And the book calls it a firm resolution. I made a firm resolution on one side of the fence not to get loaded anymore. But on the other side of the fence, when they let me out the gate, I swallowed a rock, I hit the pipe, I cracked open a bottle of Strawberry Hill, and I never made it out of the jail parking lot. I never made it out of the jail parking lot. I had all the good reason in the world not to get loaded anymore. And it never ceases to amaze me how much the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is in my life before I ever knew the big book existed. Because right then, right there, when I walked out of the jail, the big book talks about me. It tells me I can't bring to my consciousness with sufficient force the memory and suffering humiliation of even a week or a month ago. I am without defense. There's no mental defense against the next time I get loaded, you see. It doesn't matter if I'm a mommy or if I got important things to do. None of that shit matters. I just get loaded because it's just what I do. I don't talk myself into it or try to talk myself out of it. I don't say no, maybe I shouldn't. I don't say I can't. He said here and I said all right. And so, like, I don't know if you guys have ever stayed up all night before, but I have. And that night I sure did. And if you stayed up all night, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know how we have a moment of clarity when the sun comes up? The sun comes up and I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't going to do that again, right? I got stuff to do today. I got important stuff to do today. You know that stuff we do, right? When we're out there. I got important stuff to do. I had to meet with pretrial services and a lawyer and child protective services. I had to do some outpatient treatment thing at some place called Taros, right? Well, in this outpatient treatment group, there was somebody in there that was completely okay with not getting loaded anymore. What is that about? I don't understand, right? I said, I need you to talk to me because when they took away drinking and drugging, they took away the only thing in my life that ever made me feel okay. So I don't know how to be okay anymore. I don't know how to have friends. I don't know how to have fun. I don't know how to, everything sucks. I don't know how to be okay. Tell me how. And she says she goes these 12-step meetings. I'm like, what the hell's a 12-step meeting? She says, after group, I'll take you to this place and show you. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So after the group, we walked over to the Solano Club place, and I walked in, and they saw that they had meetings all day long. They started like 7:30 in the morning. They went almost 10 o'clock at night, and I walked into the meeting that was happening at that time. And back then, they still smoked in buildings, so the whole room was all filled with smoke. And they were all laughing and smiling and fronting like they're friends. And people like that don't hang out with each other, you know. So like I'm tripping on these people, you know. But I go all the way to the back of the room where we all go when we're brand new to them, listening to them all lie to each other. I've been sober 3 years. I've been sober 5 years. Liars. Nobody laughs about having to stay sober for 5 years. That shit ain't funny, right? So I'm tripping on these people. But I learned something from that very first meeting. For that 1 hour, I didn't get loaded. And this is my new plan. They have meetings here all day long. I'm going to walk my happy butt up here in the morning and I'm going to sit down in the back of one of these rooms. And if I just go to meeting after meeting after meeting all day, then maybe I could stay sober for the whole day. And if I could just stay sober for the whole day, then all I got to do is go to sleep and get up and do it again tomorrow. And maybe, just maybe, I put together enough sober days to get these people out of my life. And that's what I did. I walked up there every day and I sat down in the back of one of these rooms and I wasn't trying to look pretty and I wasn't trying to fit in and I didn't care if you liked me because I wasn't trying to like you. And I would sit in the back of the room and I would dissect everything everybody said. Liar, bullshit, you know she's loaded. You know how we do, just judging everybody, right? And then there was a lady talking in one of these meetings about how she gave up her multi-million-dollar home for a prescription drug problem. And I'm like, lady, please, I live in a box in South Phoenix. You want to come stay the night with me? What the hell you whining about? right? I'm just dissecting this poor lady, right? 3 weeks later, though, after going to meeting after meeting after meeting, I hear the same lady talking. I'm absolutely floored this time because what I hear her say this time is that she gave up her home, she gave up her husband, and she gave up her children to get loaded. And now she can't stop and she's afraid. I was floored by that because what I heard that day was that she's just like me. She's just like me. So see, now I'm starting to listen a little bit and listen different. And I'm starting to talk a little bit. And they're all telling me the same thing. They're all telling me I need to get a big book. And I said, I don't got no money for no big book. So they gave me one. And then they told me I need to get a sponsor. And I said, I don't got, what the hell's a sponsor? And they gave me one. And that sponsor lady told me I need to read this book like my life depends on it because it does. And I'm thinking I'll know how that book's going to get between me and getting loaded. But all right, I'll read it. And in the very front of the book, there's a chapter called The Doctor's Opinion. In the doctor's opinion, it talks about my addiction as a disease. It says it manifests in my body in the form of an allergy. What does that even mean, right? Well, an allergy is just an abnormal reaction to something when you come in contact with it, right? If you're allergic to strawberries and you come in contact with strawberries, you're going to have an abnormal reaction the person sitting next to you won't have. The person sitting next to you can eat strawberries all damn day long and you can't. And that's what the doctor's trying to help us understand. If we suffer from the disease of addiction, what we have is an allergy, an abnormal reaction to drugs and alcohol. And if we take it into our system in any form at all, pills, heroin, tequila, whatever your gig is, we take it in our system, it kicks off that abnormal reaction, the allergic reaction. And that allergic reaction is called the phenomenon of craving. And that craving makes us different than those other people. See, those other people can go to the bar and have a few drinks and they go back to their happy little lives. And I can't. And some people can go to a concert on the weekend and they smoke a joint or they snort a line and they go back to work on Monday. See, I don't do it like that. I don't do it like that at all because once I start, I don't stop and I can't control the amount that I use and I don't care what I got to give up to get it because nothing else has value. See, that's how I do it. But when I read it in the book, I'm like, oh my God, I need to call my sponsor. I'm like, hey, sponsor lady, you know that book you told me to read? Yeah, there's a chapter and it's called The Doctor's Opinion. And the doctor's opinion says my addiction's a disease, so it's not my fault. It's not my fault I do all that dumb shit. I got that damn disease thing your book be talking about. And she laughed at me and told me to keep reading it. I was thinking, all right, I'm going to read it like I want to read it now because I'm going to find a bunch more excuses for my bad behavior. Because I wasn't looking for a solution to get sober when I got here, and I thought I found an excuse for the shit I've been pulling in the front of the book. And when I called to share my excuse with my sponsor, she laughed at me. Anyway, I go back reading the book, and then it came time to go through my first step. And my first step is the one step I always share. Because my first step is why I'm still here 23 years later. My first step says I'm powerless over this addiction and my life is unmanageable. And although some of that stuff I shared might sound like examples of powerlessness, I didn't identify with powerlessness when I was out there. Because when I was out there, I had drugs and alcohol. And when I had drugs and alcohol, I had power. I identified with powerlessness right here in these rooms when I didn't have drugs and alcohol to deal with what was going on inside of me. See, it wasn't the topic of the meeting or anything that was going on in my life. Just right there one day, I realized inside of myself what being an addict meant to me. The book says we need to fully concede to our innermost self that we are addicts. And this is our first step in recovery. And that's what happened to me that day when I realized what it meant to be an addict. It meant I was going to die. The book tells me to drink is to die. Right? And I knew that I was going to get loaded again, and that meant that I was going to die. And I finally didn't want to die. So I was scared. I was finally scared enough. The book says we come into the room with the desperation of the drowning man. If you're truly drowning, you're afraid you're going to die. And if you're truly drowning, you're afraid you're going to die, and somebody throws you a life preserver, what do you do with it? You grab a hold of that shit, right? Because nobody really wants to die now, do they? And that's what this program is. That's what that book's about. That's what the person sitting next to you is. This is your life preserver so that you don't have to die from this. You all know somebody that's died from this, but it don't gotta be you. It don't gotta be you, and I'm absolutely grateful for the people that came before me because nobody told me I better have a plan or I needed to figure it out. Nobody told me just do the next right thing. If I knew how to just do the next right thing, I wouldn't friggin' be here. They told me all I had to do was keep coming back. They said if I kept coming back that they would bring me to shore. They told me I didn't have to die from this. And I said, okay. I surrendered. And I kept coming back. And they brought me to shore. And today I can stand on that shore on my own 2 feet. And it's absolutely my responsibility to be standing on that shore throwing out the next life preserver. Because that's what we do here. Now, the second half of that step was just as powerful. The second half of my step said my life was unmanageable. And of course, I thought I was managing just fine. But on page 52 in the big book, there's a little paragraph. It references the bedevilments. And in that paragraph, it says that we are full of fear, that we are unhappy, that we can't seem to make a living. It says we don't know how to have personal relationships. And I don't know how to love anybody, and I don't know how to let anybody love me. It also says I'm a prey to misery and depression. What does that even mean? Right? Well, see, I found out what that means to me. You see, I keep everybody this far away. And I don't really let anybody in, because I built this wall to protect myself. And you know what I'm talking about because y'all got a wall. And I built this wall to protect myself because I'm cool and I'm tough like that. And I'm not going to let anybody hurt me. And the problem with building that wall is every one of those bricks is a different kind of fear. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. My kids are better off without me. Why try? I'm an effing felon. You know what your tape plays. And we built this wall out of fear, and now what we've done is we built our own prison. And we're trapped behind that damn wall with the one person who thinks the least of us, ourself. And the tape keeps playing. You're a piece of shit. You've been a piece of shit your whole life. Your kids are better off without you. Why try? Nobody cares. Nobody's ever going to care. And I believe that shit, man. I believe nobody cares about me, right? But nobody can care about me even if they want to because I don't let them in behind my wall. So I'm lonely and I'm scared and I'm angry and it's cold and it's dark and it's ugly and the tape keeps playing and I can't freaking stand it. And so I stay back there as long as I can stay back there until I can't do it anymore, right? I can't do it anymore. And I reach for something to make this stop because I need it to stop and I get loaded or I hurt myself. See, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that's going to take us back out, and that's the stuff that's going to kill us if we don't learn how to work on it. The shit that goes on between our head and our heart. It's not the outside stuff. That outside shit, them's consequences. You do drugs and alcohol long enough, you're going to have some consequences, right? What happens when they shut off the electric? We light a candle. What happens when we wreck our car? We steal a bike. We can roll with consequences. That shit don't take us out. It's the inside stuff that we don't know how to manage, and that's the stuff the rest of the steps are outlined to help us work on so that when this goes off, it don't take us back out. And we'll share something else with you real quick before I finish. When I was about 10 months sober, I went back to the hospital because I still had a catheter hanging out of my chest. And I rolled up in there and they thought I died. That's why I didn't come back, right? And I walked in, I'm like, hey, and they're like, whoa. And I'm like, what? And everybody's tripping. And for the next 3 weeks, I got all this crazy testing going on. I got bone marrow biopsies, lymph node biopsies, and blood work and stuff, right? And then my test results come back. And my cancer was gone. It was gone like it was never there, gone. Now, I truly believe that I didn't die those times I OD'd. And one night my friend got shot in the head and the chest in a fight trying to defend me, and it wasn't me. And the reason cancer didn't kill me is because I'm supposed to be sitting here right now in this moment talking to you. And as much as I tried to get in the way of God's plan, it's not my plan. You see, God saved my ass for a reason because my experience can help somebody else. And guess what? He saved you all for the same reason. See, you all got a story to tell, and your story don't got to be like mine. Whatever your experience is, whatever you bring to the table today, there's somebody sitting up in one of these rooms going through some shit that you've already walked through. And if you don't share, they may never know how to get through it. They may never know how. So the fact that we're sitting here right now, that's a gift. What do you want to do with your gift? It's okay to have hope. It's okay to dream. It's okay to want a better life than what you had because you matter. Right? Let me tell you what I do with my gift. I raised all 5 of my kids as a single mom in sobriety. I got my 5 kids, 11 grandkids. I own my own house. I drive nice cars. I had the same job for 20 years. That's the outside stuff. The inside stuff's even better. I'm really comfortable in my own skin today. Right? I know that sometimes we feel like we screwed up our life so bad that this is where we ended up. But this isn't where we ended up. This is where we start. And if we didn't start yesterday, we can start today. And if we screw up tomorrow, we can start again. Right? We can start again. Oops, sorry. Little signal went off. I got it. Um, I'm absolutely blessed to have shared my story all over the world, right? I mean, they put me up in some 34th floor, some fancy hotel in Manhattan. They took me on a buggy ride through the Giant Park, right? Broadway show and stuff. And I've flown to Sweden and London and Canada, all over the United States, sharing my story, right? And I'm a junkie from South Phoenix that lived in a box, right? See, you all have the same opportunity that I have because that thing that I was talking about at the beginning, that spiritual malady makes us the same, right? If you're new in these rooms, they're going to tell you to do some stuff. Get a sponsor, work the steps, go to meetings, get some phone numbers, use those phone numbers, get you a service commitment. You know why they tell you to do that stuff? Because that's the shit that works. You know how I got 23 years sober? I'm still doing the same stuff they taught me when I got here. I'm still doing the same stuff they taught me when I got here. I go to 5, 6, 7 meetings a week. I have H&I commitments in the jail, and I have for 18 years. I never have less than 5, 6, 7 sponsees somewhere between steps 1 and steps 12. Why? Because the solution's in the book. I want to share you one more thing real quick. I'm 23 years sober, and 23 years sober has been the hardest year of my sobriety, right? I know we want to come in here and believe that it's going to get all better, but sometimes it gets rough, right? I've had all the feelings this year. Relationships, 17-year relationship ended, all the feelings, heartbreak, loneliness, fear. I lost that job that I had for 20 years, financial insecurity, fear, all that stuff has come up. My mom got hurt. My son got hit on his motorcycle. My granddaughter got molested. All kinds of stuff have happened this year. But I live in the house that AA built. And not once through all of this have I thought about getting loaded. So life is going to be up and life is going to be down. And you can use the tools of this program to walk through anything. And I know because I'm an example of it. I throw myself harder into working with others. I have tools today to walk through anything. Absolutely nothing is going to happen in my world today that a drink or a drug is going to make better. I hope you stay for the miracle because we need you. Thank you for letting me share.